What is going down? What the fuck is going down? It is your boy, once again, StudioMaguyver, and you are listening to StudioMaguyver's Dragonball and Video Game Podcast, baby. Welcome to the show, guys. If you're new to the podcast, welcome to the show. If you're into anime, if you're into video games, nerd culture, we talk about all that shit here. Today's episode, number 226, I have some things I want to discuss with my family. I have some Dragon Ball shit. Once again, guys, I promised that I was going to try to insert more Dragon Ball talk into this podcast, especially with the, recent stuff going on in the Dragon Ball universe. That's a cool thing, so I'm excited about that. I had a nice podcast last episode, and it was pretty much devoted to Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball only. If you didn't hear that podcast, go ahead and check that one out. It's also available on YouTube as well. So talked a lot about the future of Dragon Ball and some of my gripes about the series, and I'm going to get into some more of that this episode, guys. I'm going to be talking about some other gaming news, something that I predicted, something I told you guys that was going to happen, and it's happened already. And then I have some other news, PlayStation 5, some PlayStation 5 stuff, and I'm going to really vent some frustration with Sony, man, because I don't know what's going on with them right now. I mean, I kind of know, but I am surprised in a lot of different ways, and I'm going to get into that as well. So the main thing I want to talk about at the end of the show, two things: the Dragon Ball discussion and the current game that I'm playing that has basically taken over my life. Every so often there's a game that comes out, guys. You know this, especially if you are a serious gamer like myself. There's games that come out every once in a while, and they have you dump all of your time into it. Like you'll jump in that world, and you'll look up, and a whole day has gone by, and this is one of those games. And I'm talking about the Ascent. Now, this game, I mentioned it briefly before. It is exclusive to the Xbox and PC, and it is not a AAA game, guys. This is a small team, okay, of about 20 people. I'm gonna get into all of it. I have had a fucking blast. I'm still having a blast. I have a funny story. Well, it was not funny depending on what end of the spectrum you find yourself on in this story, but it's interesting, and I'm going to talk about that later as well. So yeah, get ready. Let's get started with the show. First thing I want to talk about is a little bit some news. What's been going on out here in the video game streets out here in this world. And a game that I predicted was not going to come out has proven to be true, and that is Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West, or I like to call it Forbidden West. But it's not coming out until 2022, guys. And I predicted this. I knew it was going to happen. Same thing went for God of War. Same thing for Final Fantasy 16. Now, the thing with Final Fantasy 16 is there hasn't been any confirmation of when. There's been whispers that game might not even come out until late 2022, early 2023. Okay? That's what a lot of people have been saying. But I'm trying to tell you guys, it's all a marketing ploy, what these companies do, and it's all a design to get your money. I think PlayStation 5 just surpassed 10 million units sold worldwide, so I mean that's pretty fucking good, considering there's not enough to go around. If there was enough PlayStation 5s to go around right now to everyone, I think they would have easily sold 25 million. Easily 25 million. At least 20 million units would have been sold. Okay, so there's literally half of us at least out here that still want one that can't find one. Okay, and yeah, and there's going to be more as time progresses and we move on and we move forward. But that is just the reality, the sad reality of this COVID situation and what's going on out here right now, man. I mean, they're talking about PlayStation 5s not being available until 2023. I mean, in stores where you can just walk in and find them. Okay. You're going to continue to have to hunt these down, especially in the coming months. Definitely the rest of this year for sure. And probably the first quarter of next year, because it's just crazy. And Xbox and Sony share some comparisons, but some they don't as far as their chips set is concerned. So it's a little bit easier for Microsoft to get these consoles out because their chipset is a little different, and they don't use a lot of the same parts. So that's why you're able to see more Xboxes out there than PlayStation 5s. But please don't get it twisted. It's still hard to find an Xbox if you don't find it in time. Okay. You're not just going to walk into the store and find one. Okay. You're still going to have to hunt one down and go hit up GameStops. But they're going out regularly though. I mean, you can find one if you look around and you go to a GameStop and you check your emails and stuff like that. You can get confirmation of certain stores. Hey, this store here is going to have 4 on this day, and so on and so forth. And you just have to be that guy or girl to be at the store, like, you know, I kind of did, where they said they were going to have a certain amount coming. I made sure that I was up there before they opened up, and there were more people there that were waiting, and I was just lucky enough to get my hands on an S. I mean, I was trying to get an X, but, you know, I didn't. I was able to still get an S, and hey, one of the best gaming decisions in my life was buying this system, guys. And I mean, I'm going to talk about some of that proof today. And if you're trying to get a game system and you can't get a PlayStation 5 and you want a decent deal and you want bang for your buck, I'm telling you right now, the Series S is definitely, I'd highly recommend that to anybody who's trying to, thinking about getting a PC or you know, just thinking about a new system, a next gen system that they want, where they can enjoy next gen games. And then on top of that, the Game Pass. Like, the Game Pass is just really taking over the gaming community, man. It really has. And everybody that I've talked to, I mean, I convinced a guy, one of my best friends, to make that move. And I'm gonna get into that in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. But yeah, man, I mean, you just can't beat it, especially with all the games that are coming out. The Ascent is a game I'm going to be discussing with you guys a little bit later, and that is one of the games right there. That game, I mean, goddamn, it's so beautiful. Let me stop. I'll get to that later. But anyway, Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West is no longer among the 2021 release date window. Okay. And I called it. It's a AAA game. I knew it was going to happen. And the same reason I claimed that it was going to happen, I basically said the reason why it's not going to come out this year is because there's too much money invested, okay, in these games. The teams that were put behind these games, millions of dollars, okay, of resources went into making these AAA games. All right. They do not want to spend that money on that game to put a game out and only sell a portion of, you know, what they were projected to sell. It's just not going to happen. You know that game is going to sell when it comes out, right? You know those games, Final Fantasy 16 is going to sell. You know God of War is going to fucking sell, right? But the problem is there's only 10 million systems. They want to sell 20 to 30. Okay, that's what they want. That's a lot of money being left on the table, guys. That is a lot of money. And without the systems out there to sell to people and to have them in their homes, they're not going to push anything. They're not going to push a set amount of products. So, and then of that 10 million that were sold, you also got to consider this. How many of those are actually viable, live activated systems with PlayStation accounts live and active? I'd say maybe 70%, maybe 75%. The other 25% of that is sitting in a garage somewhere, sitting in a warehouse, sitting in somebody's house somewhere, trying to be scalped as we speak. That's where it's at. Let's just keep it real with each other, guys. I'm not gonna play lollipop games. It's real. That's just what it is. People are trying to do that. They're just trying to scalp shit. All right. If you look really, really well and you take your time, you can find you can find Xbox systems for a regular price. I got mine for a regular price. I was not going to pay $400 for it. I was not going to pay $500 for it. I was only going to buy it if I could go in personally and pick it up. And that's what I decided to do. And, you know, yes, I had to sacrifice a couple hours of sitting out in the sun when it was a very hot day. But, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, I was so blessed to have been able to find one and get one. So I'm cool. I'm enjoying the fuck out of this Xbox right now. All right. Yeah, it's a lot going on with that. I think my stance on what's going on in this current gen right now is Sony has basically played a hand that they thought would be enough, possibly to float them, because the PlayStation 4 was so much of a success. And I mean, their first party games were just fucking breathtaking. They were all amazing. And Xbox didn't have that. And now with the Game Pass, is really starting to show how awesome of a thing that it is now. and especially this the creation of the Xbox Series S, a $300 console. I mean, there's Nintendo Switches that are selling for more than that. Okay, and you're just getting so much you're just getting so much with that Game Pass that they're giving you. I mean, all these first party games, you get day one, whole shit ton of day ones. The indie scene is really at a height right now, and that is because there are no AAA developers out there really wanting to put anything out there for the current gen system because they know there's not enough out there. They want to get those systems in those homes first. So really the indie scene has come up, and there's been a lot of fucking shine in the indie scene out here in these video game streets. And I'm a guy who loves indie titles and loves indie studios. I think they make some of the best games because they have the most freedom to do it. The smaller teams, they don't have to answer to, 5 or 6 different people before they can get an idea activated. They can just go in there and say, look, this is, can we all show a sign of hands who want to go through with this? It'd be 5, 6, maybe 7 people. Cool. And then there you go. They're moving on to the next part of the project. That is the beauty of independence in those type of titles. You know what I mean? So I say that to say, it's a strange year, and it's going to probably be a little bit stranger, moving into 2022, as far as consoles and all that's concerned, games and stuff like that. Sony doctored up a game plan to try to get the consumers to buy into their product. So they announced these games all for 2021. Think about it. If you go back to the first media that was spat out on these games, they were all slated for 2021. God of War was slated for 2021. All 3 of those games, those AAA titles, were slated for 2021 release. Okay? And now, as I'm speaking into this microphone, as the words are coming out of my fucking mouth, dripping off of my lips, it is now confirmed that all 3 of those games are not coming out in 2021. All right? And if you really want to be wise about it, if you really want to tread lightly on it, you probably don't want to think about playing these games anywhere close to even 2022. I'm going to call it, second quarter, third quarter, we might get one of those. Okay? And like I said, it's all predicated on the sales and the availability on these systems, guys. It goes hand in hand. If you chase the money, if you follow the paper trail, you're going to get your answers. That's what you're going to get. All these shareholders and all these people, if you follow the money, you'll understand what I'm saying. And I saw it, and a lot of you probably saw it as well, the writing on the wall. And that's where we're at right now. You know what I mean? You can't even get a fucking Nintendo Switch right now. I mean, it's crucial. It's hard out there. You know what I mean? And they're taking advantage of that shit too, dropping this bullshit OLED system, you know what I mean, which I'm calling out, and yes, I'm calling it bullshit because it is, to me, in my opinion. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not enough Nintendo Switch people who don't own it for them to create this, in my opinion. I mean, I just don't see it. But hey, I'm not Nintendo. I don't own their company. I can't make those decisions. So it is what it is. But it's a lot. It's a lot, guys. But I just wanted to say, I told you guys what was going to happen, and it finally happened. So we're not getting any of those 2021. Now, for somebody like me who can't find a PlayStation 5 right now, that's kind of a breath of fresh air in a sense, because I don't have to worry about these games coming out and me personally not being able to play it. Especially, I've been looking at Final Fantasy 16 shit. Really, all 3 of these games are going to be awesome, and I'd hate to miss out on them, So worst case scenario, these guys are going to put these out at the end of 2022 when there's actual systems available, and able for people to have them. And that's where we're standing at right now. I mean, that's what it's looking like. And for us, the ones who can't find a system, I mean, we're just going to get the games, and we may even get them cheaper. I mean, because you also got to think about that. They don't want to put a game out now with 10 million, and then there's another 10 million out there that they could sell those games to. And once the game hits the market, I mean, it's almost like a car. Once it leaves that lot, it depreciates with value over time. So it kind of goes down, and then the popular ones could possibly go back up, but it takes years to reach that pinnacle again, to where you see those games that are there, they become more rare and maybe harder to find. But that's where we're at right now. I mean, in 3 months when the game comes out, the price is going to drop $20, $30 anyway. I mean, these $75 games now. You got to think about that. So I think it's going to be a lot of people who are only buying AAA games, and then there's going to be even more who are only going to buy the ones that they truly, truly, truly want to play, because $75 is a lot for one game. And then you'll have people like me as well who play games all the time and play different systems and all kinds of different things, and will use that to kind of satisfy the urge and wait until these games drop in price. That's where I stand on it. I don't know. I mean, everybody has their own take on it. That's mine. And we'll get off of that boat. I've been talking about this long enough. Let's move on. Halo Infinite Beta. The Halo Infinite Beta is out. People have been playing it and stuff, and I hadn't got a chance to fuck with it or anything like that. But this footage that I saw looked pretty good. It wasn't a lot that they were able to show. They basically showed bots. They weren't showing actual humans, in competitive gameplay right now. And there was only one map from what I looked at, and there was a limited amount of weapons. But it brought back that feeling of Halo 1 and Halo 2 for a lot of people, and that was a good thing. But then you had the haters out there. You heard people whispering, talking about the game looks old, it looks dated, yada, yada, yada. A lot of, they call them Sony ponies. I don't know if I'm considered a Sony pony. Yes, I love Sony. But, I'm not going to put down another game system. I had to basically break up a fight in the comment section on YouTube. There were people arguing. They were Sony ponies, let's call them Sony ponies, who jumped in to a video of Halo Infinite. And I don't understand why people do that. If you don't like Xbox the brand, or if you don't like a certain brand, why are you in comments of that brand, talking to fans of that brand, and talking shit and starting shit? It doesn't make any sense. If you don't like it, don't fuck with it. That's simple. That's how I would deal with it. If there's an individual that I cannot stand or I do not like for whatever reason, I'm not going to be around that person, period. If there's a TV show that I don't like, or a TV personality, or a podcast, whatever the fuck it is I don't like, I'm not going to listen to them. I'm not going to dive into their world and then try to, incite something. It just doesn't. People do that though. I don't understand it. They just want to see blood. I don't know what it is, but I don't take part in that type of shit. And that's what these guys were doing. And I just was wondering, like, why are you guys even here? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, if you hate Microsoft that much, why are you even fucking here? You don't have to buy the game. You don't even have to watch this footage. Go watch some Sony shit. I mean, that's what I was thinking. But I had to make a comment and say, look, guys, can we all just fucking get along? I mean, at the end of the day, aren't we all fucking gamers? I mean, that's how you have to look at it. And at the end of the day, we all love video games, no matter what platform we play it on, whether it's a handheld, whether it's fucking Android, whether it's whatever it is. We all play games. We all love games. So it should be that simple. Okay. Yeah, it's cool to have a little bit of, competition, or, my system has this, my system, it's cool to do that a little bit from time to time. But, there's a line, that you shouldn't cross. There's certain things, that should not be approached. And that's just my humble opinion on it. And I'll leave it at that. But it looks good for me. It looks good to me. I don't have an issue with it. I mean, they're polishing it up. They're going to try to work on some things. Yes, the games were supposed to come out, on launch, and you see what happened with that. And, I got to thank God for media sometimes, because they're going to hold you accountable. They're going to put you in a place, and they're going to make you honest, so to speak, a lot of times, especially now, because you're not going to be able to put anything out if it's halfway done, unless you want what comes with that. Okay, if you're prepared to deal with that shit, if you're prepared to possibly have your battleship sunk, then yeah, you can go ahead and put it out there. But if you're smart, if you have any kind of brain, you're not going to do that. So you're going to want to get everything done, all your T's crossed, and all your I's dotted, especially if you're spending millions of dollars on a certain project. That's what you want to do. That's how you should do it. So hopefully when Halo Infinite comes out, it's going to be everything that everybody thought it was going to be. And, I'll definitely be jumping in there. Now that I'm an Xbox player, and, we'll see what happens, yeah. So there we are there. Now, on some other news, anime news, baby, let's talk a little bit about Jujutsu Kaisen. Okay, there's a movie coming out. I think it's called Jujutsu Kaisen 0, the movie. I don't know about the manga. Supposedly there's a manga out. and it's supposed to do with a backstory of a character, some characters or whatever. I don't know a lot of it, the gist of it, but I'm a big fan of that anime. That anime came out of left field, and it's fucking awesome. It's an awesome anime, one of the best out there as far as shonen is concerned, in my opinion. It's right up there with Demon Slayer and aka Kimetsu no Yaiba. It's up there with those. You know, I like my Fire Forces and stuff like that. So Villain Sagas, you know, it's up there with those, man. It's definitely awesome, and I can't wait for season 2 of that. I'm wondering what this movie's going to entail, and I'll probably definitely be checking it out. But yeah, for the manga readers, they know what's going on out there, and supposedly they're extremely excited about it, and it's in the making. So I think late 2021, early 2022 is the release date window. I'm not quite sure, but just know that it's in development. So that's a good thing. It's always good when you have popular anime being converted into movies and stuff like that. And hopefully we get that out here in the States, like we have been getting some of these other movies. And, you know, 10 years from now, it will become normal for everybody to enjoy a nice anime at a movie theater, just like anything else, like we were in Japan, because that's how they do it. And I think we should definitely adopt that as well. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about AEW wrestling. Yeah, AEW is doing their thing in the video game industry. They are working on their game. I remember when they first showed footage of this game, early gameplay footage, and I did not like it. I was cringing because the game looked very cartoonish, very childish. The characters they looked like little chibi versions of themselves in a sense, and I wasn't feeling that aspect. I wanted to see something more of like what, you know, the 2K series did, and lo and behold, they're slowly itching their way towards that. So there was some new gameplay footage shown, and they went into detail a little bit on how it looked. They had one of the wrestlers that goes by the name of Darby Allin. Dude is like, you know, an internet sensation. He started out that way, and now he's shined to AEW. Dope little guy, man. Dope little character. And they showed some of the gameplay, some of the move sets and stuff like that, and it looked awesome. And the reason why it looked awesome was because of Yuke's. Yuke's is working on this game, and I did not know Yuke's was working with them, and I'm excited now more that Yuke's is working with them, because Yuke's is the company that worked with the 2K series. To be honest with you, excuse me, that was my phone. But Yuke's is the reason why fucking the 2K series fucking took a nosedive, because Yuke's left. Okay, they decided they did not want Yuke's services anymore, and they left. And as soon as they left at the end of after 2019, which is the one me and my son literally just got through playing before I started this podcast. We usually play that like a ritual, like at least a few times a week. We play that, and we played it just now, which is the best 2K out right now. And that was the last game Yuke's worked on. When they left, they put out 2K20. It was a fucking dumpster fire, so bad that they usually, when these games come out annually, every year a new one comes out, like NFL franchise, the Madden franchise, all of that. So usually what they do is the servers, they would end up killing the servers of the last game when the new one came out. And they did not do that with this one. They were attempting to, but they got so much fucking backlash from the community that they had to reinstate it, and ended up cutting the 2K20 version. And then on top of all of that, they decided not to go forward with 2021. So they didn't even make a sequel to the 2020 version of that, because Yuke's was not there. They basically didn't know what the fuck they were doing when Yuke's left. Okay, Yuke's left, and they had their dicks in their hand. That's it. When Yuke's walked out the door, warm butter came from all angles. I mean, they were drowning in it. Okay, hickeys begun to develop on the back of their necks. The room began to smell of sake. They didn't know what the fuck they was doing. Okay, they were getting fucked from all angles, but they did it to themselves. They fucked themselves. That was the worst decision they could have made. They tried to cut corners. I don't know what they were doing, but yeah, it came back and bit them in the ass. And now Yuke's is working for the other wrestling federation. It's just funny how that works, man. And by the time it drops, which they do not know that release window, they'd like to get it out in 2022, you know, maybe first quarter, but we don't know. I just want it to be right, because this is something I definitely want to try out this game. Yeah, I definitely want to see what they're about. And by the time that it is ready for release, I think we're going to see it nicely polished, and it's going to look good going forward. And hopefully they fuck with the Yuke's moving forward. Yuke's is a dope company. I dig them. I love their work on 2019, and happy to see AEW doing something in the video game community, because a lot of those wrestlers are heavy gamers. So that's dope as well in itself. All right. I want to talk now about PlayStation 5 and their eternal their external storage decision, if you want to call it that. There's supposedly a beta, okay, that's going out, or it just came out, and it's surrounding the external storage. Okay, now here's my quarrel, here's my fucking beef with what these guys are doing, what these companies are doing with this external storage shit. Because everybody knows now games, especially AAA games, are fucking humongous. I mean, some are over 100 gigs, okay, for one fucking game after updates and all those things, right? So when you're dealing with 500 gigs of hard drive space, then you don't have a lot of room for games, and most people want to keep their games on their systems. And the crazy thing is, even if you buy a physical copy of a game nowadays, you're 90% positive that the most of that game is downloaded. That fucking physical copy is just a placeholder for that game. That's all it is. Okay, that's what I don't understand companies. I would love for them to find a new, innovative way to put a game on a disc, maybe a new disc where the whole game is on the disc. That's why I love cartridges. That's why I will forever love cartridges. I just love cartridges, man. I always will. That's part of the appeal for the Nintendo and how they did their thing. Their cartridges, man. And even fucking the older systems like the Sega Saturns and the Dreamcast and stuff. Those games were on that disc. All right, everything you needed was on that disc. And that's what I wish would happen now. But the technology, I mean, these guys, I don't know if they just haven't discovered it yet or what. I mean, I would love to see that, but that's why we're heading into the digital age where everything is just digital. I mean, I'm not against all digital stuff, all the time. I like to have my physical stuff sometimes as well, man. But I mean, they're trying to take advantage of that, and they're doing a very poor job of it. It just shows how ugly, those decisions are. The cash grabbing that's going on. I mean, you can't allow somebody to buy or use an external third party and have this work when it should be designed easily for that. These games were created on PCs for the most part, so they should easily be able to be adapted towards, a third party external hard drive, if you're asking me. And they're trying to, hand pick and create their own versions to try to get more money out of people, to try to make money on the back end of, the production costs and all that of making these systems sometimes. And, I understand it's a business, but at the same time, look, don't gouge my eyes out. Okay. I mean, even Stevie Wonder could see, when the butter's being pulled out and on the table. Okay. And that is what's going on, in my opinion, here with Sony, what they're doing. I mean, they're making it extra hard for people to make this work, to transfer games. Now, as I understand it, as long as it's not a PlayStation 5 game or title, then you could transfer games easily from the hard drive to the system and all of that, and play it from the hard drive. But if you want to do the same thing with, a PlayStation 5 game, you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to basically, you can download the game there, but you can't play it off of the hard drive. So you'd have to send the game from the hard drive to the fucking system and play it that way. And that kind of sucks. But that's the way it is right now. And hopefully, I think what will happen in a year or two, more so probably a couple years, when everybody has a system, when things have kind of settled down, I think after that they'll begin to, have updates which will allow that to happen. I think right now they're trying to make the most money as they can, and when they realize this shit's not going to sell, when nobody's going to pay $1,000 for 4 terabytes of memory for that. I mean, when they realize that shit, then I think they will turn that shit off. Okay, but they're gonna get the sharks out of the way. They're gonna get the stew heads, if you will, out of the way first, and the soccer moms, and then once that trickles down and all that, I think they'll lighten up on that. But then that's what I'm waiting for. So until then, hey, fuck it, I will play the games on the SSD or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I'll play it off of there until then. I mean, it's not like we have anything to play really right now anyway, so that's why I say that. But I just think it's poor practice, and I think it'll change later if you just ride it out. That's my humble opinion on it. It's just too much fucking money. It really is. And it doesn't make any sense that they even did that. It didn't. I think they'll learn from the mistakes, and hopefully we won't have to worry about this soon. Well, at least in a couple years. So yeah, that's what's going on with the Sony thing right now, and I just think Sony is kind of scrambling right now. I mean, they don't really have anything to play. All the ones that they announced to try to get people's beaks wet and get them excited and get them moist, I mean, that has died down because now everybody knows that the shit's not coming out this year. And then topple that with the idea of not being able to find a fucking system in the first place. I mean, you combine those two things together, and I mean, shit, what else is there to do? So if you want to ask me, I think Sony is responsible for some of the sales that a lot of people are making towards the fucking Microsoft brand, because there's nothing to grab, there's nothing to get, and since there isn't, people are saying, okay, well, shit, I'm just gonna get an Xbox. It's easier to get. The Game Pass, let me try that out. And then once people are introduced to the Game Pass, they fall in love with it like I did, and which I started it for my son. And the cool thing is, you know, you're in one household, everybody can use it. He can use it on his Xbox, Xbox One. I can use it on this Xbox Series S. It's a fucking win-win. All right, and not to mention the streaming, if you want to stream, you know, which I'm not a fan of streaming, but there's a lot of reasons behind that. But, you know, if you wanted to, it's there. The betas are live now, so you could partake in those things. But, you know, if that's your flavor, go ahead for it. But that's the issue I'm having right now, man, with Sony. They're just the current gen. I mean, no one can get one. And then if you did have one, what would you play? So there's no rush to get one right now. And now, if you want to play something next gen, and if you want to get into other things, the Xbox is right there for you if you can find one. And like I said, they're out there. Even if you wanted to buy a scalped one, they're not that bad. I mean, Amazon maybe $400, you know, maybe $375 or something like that if you wanted to go there. But if you look hard enough with those, you can find them for regular price, and that's what I did. So yeah, I highly recommend that system. Not even the Series X. I highly recommend grabbing a Series S and using that, especially if you if you weren't an Xbox guy before. If you were like a Sony guy like me or a Nintendo guy, and you didn't have any Xbox games physically anyway, it makes perfect sense to go ahead and get this because you don't have any physical games. Now, the PlayStation 5, on the other hand, I would refuse to get digital because I have all these physical PlayStation 5 games that I would like to experience on the 5. But that is why I'm waiting for the disc version of that. But Xbox, I have no quarrels about that. I don't have to worry about that at all because I have no games. So it's perfect. You know what I mean? And like I said, with the Game Pass, man, I mean, you will have so many games to play. You won't have to worry about shit. If you're in a game playing stump, if you're worried about, you know, you don't have anything to play here or there, I mean, I guarantee you could find something on the Game Pass and you could win. It's a fucking win. And that brings me to my next discussion point, which is the Ascent, which is a indie studio who created this game, and it's available on Xbox and PC. Okay, and this is my so far, this is my game of the year so far. It's I mean, there's some good ones. Okay, there's some good ones out there. You still got Monster Hunter. Those are up there as well, man. But this one here, guys, I'm telling you, it's dope. It's fucking. I have been having so much fun on this game, and I've been playing with one of my best friends, Dig247. He's been on the podcast a few times. You may have heard him if you're a long time listener, but yeah, and he's a Sony guy. He was gonna try to get a PC. I literally talked him into getting the fucking Xbox Series S, and he got lucky because he found one at Best Buy for, you know, standard price. And I told him, man, go ahead and push play on that. It's going to be the best decision you made in your life. You're going to save yourself easily $1,200 because the PC he was looking at was like $1,500. And he was like, I'm not trying to spend all that right now and then deal with all the stuff that comes with PCs, because yeah, PCs are definitely a great thing for a lot of you PC players. I know you know that, but there are some things that you know, are very agitating when it comes to PC games. There's some games, from no matter how much better the PC version is of that, they just don't want to act right with certain games, man. I mean, and The Sin is one of those games. There's a couple other games that have came out and people have said, yo, I don't know if you have this or this on your PC, it's not meshing well with it. No matter what you do with it, it's just, I don't know, man. I'm a guy who just likes to buy game systems for playing games. I know when I turn that power button on, I'm gonna jump in the game and play it. I don't have to worry about updates. I don't have to worry. Well, updates come automatically, but I don't have to worry about, a new game coming out and not being compatible because it's not compatible enough. I need to upgrade my system or something in there. All of these things, guys. I mean, that come with owning a PC. If I were to get one now, I'm kind of really looking at that Steam Deck, and that's going to be me. But everybody has their own decisions, their own choices they want to make, and do so. But I highly recommend it, and I did to him, and he went ahead and pushed play on it. And the main reason was because he was trying to play the Ascent so bad. That was one game that hit his radar, and he was like, man, that is one game on the Xbox that I really want to fuck with and play. And so he got it. He actually bought one. It got to his house and everything, and then he got the Ascent, and we've been playing it. We played it all day, and we're going to probably play it all morning. I'm recording this podcast a day early so I can get it done and get back and get back on it, man, because it is a dope game. This is a cyberpunk game. This is what Cyberpunk 2077 should have been, guys. I can't sing this game's praises enough. Is it perfect? No. Right now it is a 9 out of 10 for me, and only because there are a few technical things. There were some bugs in the game, and not game breaking by any stretch, but and keep in mind we played it day one, so I'm sure a week or two from now they're going to be updates and everything like that, because these guys are pristine. You can tell when you play the game and you're moving around in this world that they weren't playing around. They have so much detail in this fucking universe that I am in awe of it. I am in love with this game. I am in love with the aesthetics of the game. This is really truly the cyberpunk game that I have really been missing. This world that they have created, guys. I mean, it's beautiful. It is so alive. It is so much life in this world. Way more life than in fucking Cyberpunk, guys. I'm telling you right now. You just have to see it to believe it. All right. You really have to play it and see it to fucking believe it. And I cannot believe this is not a AAA game. But supposedly this team is made up of a lot of people from, a lot of veterans from a lot of other companies, and they came together and created this shit. Man, somebody's going to buy this company. I think Xbox needs to go ahead and just pick them up and purchase this team and keep them there. They do not want to let this team go, this developer go, because I'm already looking at like, oh, what's the DLC going to look like? Are we going to get DLC? Are we going to get a sequel? Are we going to get, all these new updates? I mean, it's a beautiful fucking game. You play this basically the slave in a sense who is indentured, and you're trying to get out of that. Okay. And you're at the bottom of the slums of this universe, and people treat you like shit, basically, honestly. I mean, you start doing things, picking up missions and doing things of that nature for people, doing favors. And then you start, coming up in the world, and you basically want to earn your freedom, so to speak. You want to earn your independence, if you will. And right now I've made a deal with someone, and they claim that they're going to help us if we do some things, some dirty work. So that's what we're out here doing, a bunch of dirty work. And as you progress through the game, you find all kinds of weapons and stuff. I mean, I remember when I first started my first few hours, I was like, man, I was only finding a set amount of weapons, and they were all the same. And I said, man, this is not really. And then fast forward to right now, oh my God, there are so many awesome weapons out here. Amazing weapons, amazing aesthetics. I mean, I was literally talking to my friend, and we were discussing, how much work had to go into this. I think they said they worked on it for like 3 years. Man, it's, oh God, I don't want to give too much away. I'm trying not to spoil anything, but it's not a top down. A top down is just straight up over the head. It's kind of like at an angle. But the detail in these characters, the detail in this world is top notch. I mean, they made the detail in the game as if it was a third person, action RPG game, which it is. But it's a twin stick shooter, and I'm not really into twin stick shooters. But now this has changed my fucking mind. Now, after I get off of this, I'm going to be looking at certain twin stick shooters in a different light. But the way that they did it, this game, I don't know, they knocked it out of the park, man. I mean, it is a twin stick shooter, but there are layers to it. So you move around, of course, you aim with one analog and you move around with the other one, and you would think, okay, and then you pull the trigger and you fire, cool. But there's a over the head fire and there is a standard fire, low fire, so body, going for the body, things of that nature. And there's enemies that are only susceptible to those, shooting from the hip because they're so short. And if you try to point the gun over, of course you're going to go over their head. And then if there's a lot of cover, they emphasize a lot of cover in this game. So you got people coming at you from all angles, so definitely want to take cover, and you can't stay in cover too long. You can't get too comfortable in one spot, but you can fire over that cover and hit enemies, and they'll do the same thing to you. It is a beautiful, beautiful, breathtaking experience, and once you get the hang of the gameplay and how everything works, it just flows so gracefully, man. I mean, god damn it. The only issue, like I said, I had were little technical issues with the game. Every once in a while I'd be playing and then I would move to a cutscene where you're like in a subway or some shit like that, and then I'd end up back at the fucking I'd end up at the gameplay screen, the start screen, you know what I mean, times. And then little shit like that. There was a couple times where I glitched out and I was playing with a friend and we glitched out, and I had to just go back and reset and go back, and there's no physical save. The game auto saves I don't know, maybe every couple of minutes or some shit like that. So you just play, and then your shit, is usually, if something happens, you come back and you're usually right back where you need to be. So no gripes there. Like I said, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with this game moving forward, like the updates and things of that nature. If we're going to get some DLC, I think we are, because I think this game is going to do fucking great things. I think it's going to win so many awards. I definitely know it's going to win awards for sure. And I think that it's going to be supported. And I think that they're going to make their money and then some off of this game. And I think we're going to see DLC and new things to come from this studio. And I'm so excited for that. It's always dope when you find a new studio and you find a new game of a magnitude like this. And this is not even a AAA title. This is just some people who got together and made something beautiful. There's another game that is out there that I keep hearing great things about. And it's already sold 100,000 copies. And it just came out like a couple days ago in itself. And it's called Death's Door. It's another game I was interested in. It's a roguelike kind of action RPG-ish type of game. It's a set in a dark universe, and you play this fucking crow who looks kind of like a dark ninja-esque type of crow. You have a sword. It looks dope. I'm gonna play it. It's $20, and it's only it's also exclusive for the Xbox brand. So I am definitely gonna be playing that one sometime in the future. But we're talking about the Ascent now, and this is just another one of those gems. I think it's $40 if you wanted to pay for it and buy it. And I will definitely put money on this game and buy it. I hope they come out with, I would say a physical, but I'm definitely looking forward to supporting these guys for sure. DLC comes out, I'm buying it. I am definitely supporting these guys. I love this game. I am going to buy the game. I know it's free because of Game Pass, but I am going to support this studio because it is that fucking good, guys. It is that good, and you have to play it. All right. It could have been perfect. It damn near could have been a perfect game. Damn near close. There's no such thing as a quote unquote perfect game, but it was damn near a 10. Okay, and with the bug fixes and stuff, I mean that could change. And the replay value for me is definitely awesome as well. Different build types. You have. So there's all kinds of opportunities they even have where you can create different characters. And me and Dig we've already talked about creating a new character. I'm going to do female next time, and we're going to run out there and just play another build and kind of play around like that. Funny story about the Ascent is that it involves my boy Dig. We were playing and we were going through. We had a long, I think we had a 3-hour run where we were just doing shit, because I got a head start, of course, because he was waiting on his Xbox. So I was jumping out there solo, having a blast with it solo as well. That's another thing. You can play it solo. You can play it with people. It is fucking a dope experience either way you want to play it. But I was playing it solo. I found a lot of shit. I was just out there just in the streets, in those Ascent streets, clowning, taking lives. And I was finding a lot of dope weapons and cool things. And, when he got with me, he basically just went into my game, and we were running around doing shit, and he was getting all the goodies and stuff that I was getting. And then all of a sudden, I think we got kicked out of the game. Okay, and as we got kicked out of the game, he said, "Damn." He was in a cutscene where he was in a subway, but he was damn near butt naked. He said, "Man, I got some shorts and a wife beater on, man. Where's all my gear? Where's my weapons?" And he went to go check. All his shit was gone. Everything he collected with me, gone. Even his leveling, gone. the levels he gained, I think he was level 10. Like when he first came into my game, he was like a level 4, and then he lost 6 levels. I was like, what the fuck? You lost your levels? He was like, yeah, and it basically knocked the wind out of his sails. He was like so done. He was like, man, whatever. I was like, I understood. And I was like, why the fuck? How that? And I was like, yo, that's the worst glitch ever. So I Googled this glitch and see if I could find anything wrong with it. Couldn't find anything. Couldn't YouTube, nothing. Couldn't find a damn thing. Come to find out, guys, I was talking to my girlfriend and she told me that my daughter, Yuri, with her bad butt, when the shit went out and we got kicked out, she had fucking went and turned off the fucking modem or the router, okay, and it reset everything. So while we were playing in mid-play, and that we found out was the reason why all his shit lost. It was a shock to the system, and basically just since he was in my game, it didn't record everything for him. I still had my shit, but he didn't have his, and that's what happened. So we was like, oh man, thank God, because we were worried, we were apprehensive about doing it again because we didn't want to lose all that shit. So we went, okay, we chalked it up as an L and we jumped back in and we played for like another 6-hour run, and he got a lot of shit and we got a lot of dope stuff. So now he's good. He still has his stuff. So I mean that was the reason behind that. But I thought that was a funny story, not necessarily funny to him, but it was funny and fucked up at the same time. It was. But I'm glad we found, the culprit of that, and we can move forward now and enjoy this game. So we'll probably be playing this morning. It's like 4:30 in the morning right now on a Saturday as I'm recording this. So I'll wrap up this podcast a day early, get it done, set up, and then in about an hour or two, I will log back in. He should follow suit then. He's in Atlanta, so he's an hour ahead of me. So it's technically 5:30 right now where he's at. And he's an early bird, so he's usually up in the morning, and we'll probably kick start this shit until noonish or something, and yeah, I'll finally lay down and take a nap after that and move forward, man. But that's the game plan, and I just have to say, guys, if you are on the fence about this game, I mean, don't be. If you have an Xbox, it's free. If you have a Game Pass, don't even worry about it. You're not taking any risks. It's free for you to play, and I'm telling you right now, this game is worth a $60 price tag. It is. This game is literally worth it. There were people saying the reviewers saying that the game was 15, 20 hours, and I'm like, what? I don't get these reviewers sometimes because I've been playing for damn near 30 hours now. I'm like at 26 hours, and I am still knee deep in the game. I mean, I don't know where they get that from. Okay, you can easily put 50 hours in this game, guys. There's plenty of grinds. There's plenty of side quests. There's lots of things to do. So I don't know. It's an awesome game. You should definitely check it out. It's worth your time. I promise you. Check it out. If you are not a fan of twin stick shooters like I wasn't, give this game a shot. Give it a chance. And once you get the mechanics down, which should take about a good hour or so, then you'll understand. You'll start to understand what I'm coming from, and it shit just kicks into gear, and it's just, man, it's so fucking awesome. So that is my semi-review, if you want to call it that. I enjoy the game. I'm still enjoying it, and I can't wait to jump back in. Now, the last subject, the last lecture, I kind of want to have a quick Dragon Ball discussion with you guys, because I should call it a Dragon Ball segment or something, and try to have a segment, at least a couple of these a month in the podcast, you know what I mean? And where we talk about things and discuss things of Dragon Ball, man. And that's what I'm going to do. So my current situation with Dragon Ball right now, I went back and I started watching Kai, Dragon Ball Kai. Yes. And I've always had the episodes. I have all of Dragon Ball Z. I have all of Dragon Ball Kai. But I didn't get around to watching Kai. And I wanted to get around to watching. I watched it. I mean, I want to say some couple years back, I started it and I got a taste of it and I liked it, but I wanted to dive in further and kind of get, the differences, the real differences between Kai and, regular Dragon Ball Z. And most people, when they think of Kai, they think, oh, it's like I thought it was just, minus the filler, which it is minus the filler, but it's more than that. And you have to watch a little bit longer to understand that. Because I remember a lot of these scenes like it was like they're engraved in my head. I watched Dragon Ball Z so many fucking times. So many times. And I'm talking about the original version, the long version, the one with all the filler and all that shit, okay? Kai They definitely cut out the filler. But what makes Kai awesome, in my opinion, is that as well, because they get to the point, they get to everything that needs to get got to, but also they reshot a lot of things. So the artwork is redone, cleaned up on a lot of different scenes. They've completely redone all the voice acting. So all the actors came back, the most of them, if they weren't dead or if they, had other engagements or whatever. Most of them came back and they reshot and re-recorded all of the fucking lines, man. And they're so much better than what they were before. And listening to the actors and stuff talk about it, they let everybody know that they actually had a chance to finally get engraved into these characters, like, etched into these characters, so to speak, to where now they felt like it was a part of them, and they could add another dynamic to the character. And you can see it, you can understand it, you can feel it when you watch it. And that's what I also appreciate in that. And also, if you remember Dragon Ball Z, when it first started, if you remember Vegeta's voice, okay, his voice was different. It was two different actors, okay, and his voice didn't change until I think after the Frieza arc. I could be wrong, but somewhere around there. Okay, there was one doing Vegeta, and then after that there was the other guy. I forgot his name, the actor, but he started doing Vegeta, and now he's like the main guy. So you get the actual Vegeta now, the current Vegeta, there, and it works. Even though the other Vegeta was not bad, but it's, and then there's one thing that I wish would have been in Kai. One voice actor, one of my favorite characters in Dragon Ball is Frieza, and Linda Young is, she did the original Frieza voice, the English dub, and I love her fucking Frieza. Like, there's no one who will ever be able to replace her Frieza. I really love her Frieza, and that's probably my only gripe with Dragon Ball Kai, because the Frieza arc was my favorite. Like, everything from Z all the way up to Frieza, the end of the Frieza arc, was my favorite arc. And I, that was one of my reasons, for my infatuation with Frieza, was just the fact that it was an alien, and I'm saying it because I still don't know if it's a male or female, and you couldn't tell by the voice. It sounded like a guy. It sounded like a mix. It sounded like a male and female. Like, you didn't. I remember when I first started watching Dragon Ball Z, and I was like, man, that fucking voice, that it goes so perfectly with this character. And I will always and forever feel that way about Linda Young at Frieza. That's the only thing I regret. But everything else, so far, I'm in the Frieza arc right now. I'm loving it, enjoying it. I mean, some of the word choices that were chosen now, and like I said, some of the shots. I mean, there are different angles and stuff that they took, close-ups and things of that nature. I mean, it made it. They killed it, and I'm so anxious to see the rest of what they did after the Frieza arc and beyond. The android and all that stuff. I'm anxious to see how they did all that too as well. So yeah, I'm enjoying Dragon Ball Kai right now. That's what I'm currently watching, and after Kai, I'm going to go to Dragon Ball. And this is something I also want to do. I'm going to segue into this because I'm going to say 75 to 80% of Dragon Ball fans, okay, most of them are fans of Dragon Ball Z and Super. And the younger ones are watching Super. Nobody gives enough credit to Dragon Ball, the original, the OG series, okay? And I encourage anybody who loves Dragon Ball Z, who loves Dragon Ball Super, to go and check out Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is so fucking awesome, guys. It is. There's a lot of things I forgot about it, and that's why I'm going back to it again. Sometimes you need a refresher, but there's some things that I'll never forget that are etched into my mind when it comes to Dragon Ball. And the slapstick comedy moments in there, they're just so... They're so well placed, and the action, the grounded action. That's one thing I've always appreciated about Dragon Ball, is the grounded action of the fights. Okay, they kept everything, in a small area. They were still very powerful, but it was more grounded, especially the tournaments and how they did those things. Those were very grounded, and I loved those fight scenes. Those are some of my favorite fight scenes in all of fucking Dragon Ball. Like, One of my favorite fights in Dragon Ball, and I'm talking about in Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, all of it, is Ten Shin Han versus fucking Master Roshi, aka, God damn it, Jackie Chun. Okay, that was one of my favorite fights. The Goku and Ten Shin Han fight was dope. Even Mercenary Tao, and I mean, there's so many good ones in there. You know, there's so many great fucking fights in that series, guys. And really, it was serious then. I mean, I remember when Krillin died, man, at the end of the 22nd martial arts tournament. I mean, dude was like laid out with his eyes open, like dead. And I was like, yo, this shit hit kind of hard. And you get to see the origin of all these characters, man. Like, you know, Krillin was a badass. Is a badass. He still is. I mean, but they as kids, as children, they were bad. They were excellent fighters. Ten Shin Han had his own arc. Like, he was like the, you know, like the Frieza arc. It's called the Ten Shin Han arc. That's when he was like the creme de la creme out there. And you know, it was so many awesome moments in Dragon Ball. And I encourage anybody to watch it, guys. You're missing out on an excellent series. And if you want to know more, especially if you're like a really big Goku fan or whatever, you owe it to yourself to go watch Dragon Ball. Like, seriously, like Bulma, those adventures that they had. Yamcha, he was a pirate. I mean, he was a fucking badass too. I mean, and Goku always had this special ability to, like, anybody he'd come in contact with, or at least a lot of the people he came in contact with, and, you know, who hated him or didn't like him, and they fought and lost, they ended up seeing their error of their ways and became friends. And it happened with Krillin. It happened with fucking Yamcha. It happened with Ten Shin Han. It happened with Piccolo. I mean, it happened with Vegeta. Like, all of these characters, man. And most of those you could see transpire in Dragon Ball. And there was just some dope adventures that they were on and things that they were getting into. You have to watch it. I mean, I think it's available everywhere. I think it's on Hulu. I want to say it's on Crunchyroll, YouTube. I mean, not YouTube, but it is YouTube too, I think. Yeah, but pretty much everywhere. You can't. There's no excuse not to watch Dragon Ball. You know, there's not. And you know, one of my favorite video games. There's two of them. One is RPG, which is Attack of the Saiyans, which is focused on. It's a more grounded game because the characters are grounded. This happens right before the Saiyans come. So basically, you're the Z team getting ready for these Saiyans to come down, and that is how grounded the game is. And of course, one of my favorite characters is in there. Really, both of them, Vegeta, of course, but then Ten Shin Han is one I get to play with, and he's awesome in that game. And then there's the other game is a Dragon Ball game. It's called Dragon Ball Advanced Adventures, and this game came out on the fucking Game Boy Advanced. One of the best games ever made, in my opinion. And not even talking about Dragon Ball. It's a platforming action type of game but with so much more to it. It's one of those games that have so much shit packed into it, you wouldn't fucking believe it. Okay, at first you're playing it, yeah. You're playing as Goku, and you're platforming, and you're action, and you have your boss fights and things of that nature. Okay, you could chop it up as that's a pretty good game. But if you go further and you unlock things within the game, you unlock these other modes. There's actually a fighting mode in here. It's an arcade fighting mode, and you can actually fight in a tournament, and you can fight and play as the characters that you beat in the game. And they have some of my favorite characters in there of all of Dragon Ball. One is Mercenary Tao, which is another character, you guys, that is a fucking awesome character, guys. A guy who wears pink with the word "kill you" on his back. Dude's an assassin. Dude's a fucking awesome character. He killed a fucker dude with his tongue. Okay? He killed a man with his fucking tongue. Hit him in the fucking temple with his fucking tongue, and he killed him. All right? And if he's doing shit like that, I mean, just think of that. And think of how awesome that character is. And then you're like, wow, and these guys are making light work of him? I mean, just think about that power gap. It's ridiculous. But like I said, Dragon Ball has some of the best characters as well. So you're just missing out. But like I said, this game has those characters. So everybody you defeat in the game, you can actually play as them in this tournament mode. And that's one game this is one of my favorite games, the tournament mode game, the Dragon Ball tournament mode, because you can play as Ten Shin Han, you can play as Mercenary Tao, you can play as these characters in this tournament and fight with each other. And I don't know, I love the graphic style. I love the like the 16-bit kind of aesthetics that this game has. It's just got a special charm to it, and I just love that world, that whole game. And basically, it's a game that I would love to have, but I don't think we'll ever get. Because I think in the world of Dragon Ball, they're not even really looking at Dragon Ball, the original. They're looking like it's Super and all that. And I'm not gonna lie, Dragon Ball Super compared to Dragon Ball or even Dragon Ball Z, in my opinion, it's a little more watered down as far as the characters. Like the characters had more development. They were a little bit more layered in Dragon Ball and in Dragon Ball Z. But Super, they kind of just, they just creating motherfuckers and putting them out there. Now, some of them are dope. I mean, like Jiren is one of them. He doesn't have a lot of layers to him, but I mean, I like his design. I love his design actually, and he's my favorite character in Dragon Ball Super. But there's more to be desired if you ask me in that aspect of it, and it's not the best in the series if you ask me. There's dope things in there, like these last two arcs. Let's put it that way. These last two arcs that have been happening in the manga lately, those are awesome. When those come to anime form, I am going to jump in. I think they're going to be fucking dope. Now, those are some of the best arcs, in my opinion, are those two arcs right now that I just talked about, the Galactic Patrol and Prisoner arc and the fucking Granola arc. Those two right there are looking fucking fabulous, okay? So when those get animated, oh yeah, I'm on. And this Dragon Ball movie, I talked about it already, with that time skip. Hopefully they get ready to deal with these changes and they get ready to take Dragon Ball to that next plateau, that next threshold, if you will. Finally we got people growing up, we have this happening, we have that happening, so I'm looking forward to it, guys. I mean, so much to talk about. I mean, if you're a gamer and you have a Game Boy Advanced, or if you have a Nintendo DS, you can play this Dragon Ball game, okay? You can find it. If you were looking for the original, it's going to be a pretty penny. Okay, but there's duplicates out here. That's a thing that I never even knew until I started trying to find the physical copy of this game. There are actual physical copies that are made overseas that you can buy. I think I paid like $9 for mine, and you can, it's got the cover on it and everything, and you can play it in your Nintendo DS. Or if you have your fucking Game Boy Advance, you can play it. So yeah, that's definitely one I'm added to the collection. And I recently just bought Attack of the Saiyans. I got the physical copy. I had the digital copy because I have a bootleg Nintendo Switch disc cartridge that has a shit ton of DS games on there, but I wanted the physical copy of that, so I have that because I wanted to play it on my 3DS XL. So yes, I'm playing that on my 3DS XL now. Another dope game that I forgot to even mention here is Dragon Ball Fusions. Dragon Ball Fusions for the 3DS. Think of just a Dragon Ball game with characters that you can literally fuse together. Take two characters, fuse them together. They literally aesthetically look different. They look like if you merged like Tien with fucking Yamcha, it'd be like a Yamcha face with a third eye, and he'd have hair. And they would use some of each other's abilities. They would even combine abilities and create new abilities. Like, that's what this game entails. Okay, I remember I was so hyped before when it came out, and it's definitely a classic of mine. And I never beat that game. It's so much to do in that game. So I think I'll go back there one day as well. So that's the thing I'm talking about, guys. With when it comes to games and having physical media, I might not play that game for 3 years, but then one day I say, man, I'm in the mood to play this. I'll go back in there and I will fucking sink 50 hours into it. You know what I mean? So it's like, that is the shit that I'm talking about here. So, I mean, that is going to do it for the show. That's going to be the end of the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Podcast episode 226. I thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank everybody for downloading, streaming, however you're, consuming this content, guys. I thank you. The podcast is doing excellent, and I'm getting new listeners every day, and I'm glad that you guys like this content, man. I'm so happy that you guys enjoy listening to this guy bitch and moan about video games and anime, and I'm enjoying myself, and I hope you guys are too. We do this every Monday, same bad time, same bad channel. I'll be back next week, like always, and I'm gonna get out of here, guys. I'll leave you guys with that. I love you very much. Thank you for your support. This is Studio Maguyver, and you have been listening to Studio Maguyver's Dragon Ball and Video Game Podcast. See you next time.